part of the reason why we have a school board.
In my 15 years of teaching, and also I have an administrative background, as I mentioned, I've experienced where sometimes people from the community will at times not follow the chain of command. So if a community member brought something to my attention that I thought was a very, not a very, very important matter, maybe important to them, but not a huge issue, I would ask them initially if they had followed the chain of command. If it's involving a teacher, have you spoken to the teacher? If you have spoken to the teacher, did you speak to the principal or assistant principal? Have you given them an opportunity to rectify this situation? Because I feel following the chain of command is an important part of the education process in any work environment. So I would, in many cases, start out with that just to advise the community member. If it was an issue that I thought was of a high level of importance, I would immediately take it to the Board of Education president, and then I would share it with the other Board of Education members, and at that point, I would confer with the Board of Education president, and I would assume we would take it to the superintendent. But my first call would be to the Board of Education president and to the other members if it was an extremely important matter. And I would, as my duty as a board member, feel it's important to investigate the matter. I would not, depending on the matter, but I would not just assume one way or the other about a matter. I would, any important topic, I would investigate and make sure that it was handled correctly and work with the board.
Excuse me. I like that.
And I would work with the board to ensure that the matter was handled correctly, and especially matters where a community member, a student, a teacher, a bus driver, an aide, anybody needed to be protected from anybody. It's one of my main reasons for running for the board is to protect anybody who might be retaliated against, might be wronged, might face any type of injustice. So I would investigate anything that came to my attention. It was an important matter. Thank you.
Yeah, my impression is that if this were the board right now, all 6 of us over here, we'd have this pretty much under control. Because what's been mentioned is the chain of command. And the first thing that I would want to take into consideration is how serious do I think the problem is. It may be something that you've got a little time to work with, and it may be something that you can be careful whom you consult, and it won't make as much a difference. But if it's a serious problem, you're going to want to take some kind of immediate action. You'll want to get the information which can assure you what the full scope of it might be. And if this information suggests that it's very serious, then you're really wanting to go to the administrator above the one involved with the problem and consult with that individual in terms of what is the routine for handling these problems, what do you think needs to be done, how can we get the necessary information to understand exactly what is happening, and then at that point take it to the board. It doesn't mean the board has to take action, but the board has to be informed so that they see whether or not this is consistent with other things that happen. And there must be some time in your board when a board member has an opportunity to say, something has come up, I think the board needs to be aware of this. Is this something that we should deal with? And if so, be taking into consideration the chain of command. Who else needs to be involved for the good of the whole system?
Yes, sir. I think folks were exacerbating this and hyperbolizing this way too much. It's like a great cook. The less hands in the podge, the better. The bottom line is, in all due respect, we're way out of control here when it comes to all these people. Everything's got to be hands-on with the district, okay? The bottom line is you got 2 things to worry about. Actually, 1. Go to the parents first. Actually, the teacher reports it first. We understand that. Chain of command, teacher, parent, principal, and if that doesn't work for that, okay, if you can't get some kind of dialogue and work with some kind of resolution, then we got some serious matters. You go to the upper scale, then you go to the administrator, the superintendent. And if we can't work that out, there's obviously other accessibilities that we can work on when it comes to counseling that's afforded here by the Hamburg School District, when it comes to family counseling. It comes down to parental control. A district does not raise a child, folks. A district teaches. It mandates one thing, and that's education, all right? I understand all that. You know, we all have issues when it comes to kids, but it falls down to the parents, and that's what the crux of the matter is. If there's lack of that, we gotta find the issue, take care of it, and see that that's taken care of right to the root of the problem. But all this meddling and whatever the case may be, and everybody's got their hands in it, it just exacerbates the problem. It makes it more confusing for the parents and the child. Cut to the crux, go to the matter at hand, parents, 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 and then go up the line from there. Teachers, and if they can't take care of it, we go to the principal. And like I just said, we just go up the line and we make sure, and if it comes to that point, then go to the board. If the last possible resolution is to the board, we're in serious trouble. And we got a family matter that doesn't even need to be directed to the board. It should be handling a counseling issue.
First thing I would do is, I would get enough information from whoever was, as long as it wasn't a problem with another board member. Get enough information from whoever was approaching or whatever I observed, to try and understand the seriousness of the issue. And I would bring it to the board to get some help understanding, because oftentimes your own perceptions or someone's perception in coming to you and approaching you, it can be somewhat looking through a different lens than the general board or the community. So what you may perceive to be a bad situation may not be at all. It might be regular protocol in the school district. So my first step would be to get enough information where I could present, if I'm going to present something to the board, to say, you know, how do we deal with this issue, or how should we deal with this issue? Is this something that we should go to the administration with right away, or do we need to gather more information? And I mean, the question is a pretty broad, can you have many different issues? So I'm not assuming it's a student or a parent or an episode that happened that was wrong, but certainly, depending on what it was, you certainly have to identify the seriousness of the event or the problem, number one. And secondly, you know, is it something that I can bring to the board to say, hey, how has this happened in the past? Or how has this dealt with in the past? It may be a recurring problem that I have observed, or that someone has come to me with. So I would really look to my fellow board members for some help and understanding of the regular protocol, and then go to the administration and make that problem aware, make the administrator aware of it, their supervisor or the one above their supervisor, and find out how to deal with it. We may have limitations with respect to contractual issues. If it happens to be a teacher, maybe something you have to go to the union with. So I'm sure there's a protocol between the board and the district from an administration standpoint, from a labor and teacher standpoint, or a non-instructional standpoint. So I would first identify what the issue is and how significant it is, and then figure out how to deal with it.
Okay, moving on to the next question, I think Patty, and we begin with Laura.
Okay, I will read our question number 7. With the recent publicity on bullying, what role should the school board play to address this problem?
Okay, I did this one first.
And we're all listening closely.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you'll agree or not. Bullying has been around for a long time. I think probably everybody in this room can think of an instance when they or one of their children or a sibling was bullied. I think with the introduction of Facebook and texting and Gmail, and I don't even know all the rest of it, it's made things a gazillion times worse. I think to say that Hamburg has a big problem with bullying would be, in my opinion, ridiculous. I don't think we do. I don't think we have any bigger of a problem than any other school. And this subject is personal to me. Our younger two children are adopted. They're African American. I was worried about bringing them to Hamburg and raising them here, and knowing that walking into Union Pleasant, they would be, you know, one of maybe 3 or 4 kids if we were lucky there. And my daughter last year in 2nd grade did not want to go into the building. For about 3 weeks of school, she was struggling, and Greg Whitglass, I think he was a former board member, came up to me and said, "What can I do? What can we do to help you?" He saw us standing out there. Mr. Martinez came outside, pretended he had a limp, said, "How can we get her to come into the building?" And to me, that's what makes me so passionate about our community, is I don't think we have a lot of bullying going on here. I think we have kind, compassionate people here who rise to the occasion, which is why I want to raise my kids here. Do I think that there are bullies? Yes. Do I think that sometimes we may have a tendency to overreact when someone calls this one or this or that one or that? I do. We're not in the city where our kids are getting knifed. I think that Hamburg is a safe place to send your kids to school. I think we have to be very, very careful that we're not overreacting when someone name calls or pulls does a normal kind of behavior maybe that we wouldn't be proud that our kids did, but they did and made a mistake. I think it's a very fine line. I was in a restaurant the other day and 3 or 4 soldiers were in there eating. Every table in that restaurant offered to pay for the meals of those soldiers that were in there. And that's what Hamburg is about, and I think the majority of our community are not bullies. And I also think we have to model the behavior. Our kids cannot see parents bullying. They can't see community members bullying. They need to see an excellent example of getting along with others, whether they're different or not, whether their opinions are different or not. So it includes us as adults. Thank you.
Chuck?
I believe the board's role should be to develop a policy that's district-wide regarding bullying. And I believe there should be a task force, including teachers, students, parents, administrators, aides, bus drivers, crossing guards, board members. I think everybody, there should be a representative from each group on the task force, and there should be input from all avenues, because you would be surprised with the varying people that see things that you may not see because of their position, and they have input. So I feel it should be a collaborative effort to come up with the policy. And as I alluded to earlier, I don't think there should be a policy just to have a policy so then we can say we have a policy. I think it has to be followed, because there are a lot of policies, there are a lot of meetings that educators go to that are just to have a meeting. And I've experienced it myself, unfortunately. So I believe it should be our heart and soul that we really mean that the policy is going to be in place and everybody's going to know what it is. Every teacher, every student's going to be educated on it, and we're going to follow it. I think it should include education of the students. It should include a definition of what bullying is. It should include, the education should start in kindergarten and move up through the grades so the students know what bullying is and how it can affect people. There should be therapy for both the accused bully and for those that are bullied. And there should also be consequences. There has to be consequences. There cannot be repeated cases of bullying where it's a conversation with student. If it comes down to putting a student on home instruction to make sure that those students are safe, that's what has to be done if all those other steps are not successful. But the number one thing has to be that our students are safe. And I've had like I said, wide-ranging teaching experience from the city of Buffalo to Lewis and Porter to Hamburg. And unfortunately, bullying takes place in every single one of those venues, unfortunately, from elementary school to high school. And I've seen it in every single venue at varying degrees. I think supervision is a huge part of it. If you read the Buffalo News, there was an article regarding Williamsville recently, and the students were quoted as saying the cafeterias are unsafe, the hallways are unsafe, and in other places that I would list are locker rooms. If a phys ed teacher isn't standing in the door of the locker room, You never know what could happen. There are many places in a school that are potentially a problem. Supervision is the number one thing. So I feel the district has a need and a duty, and the board has a duty to develop a policy which is all-encompassing and which is followed. Thank you.
Harold?
Oh, like it or not, bullying will take place. I won't give you the exact example, but I know I was bullied when I was in third grade. It's an incident that still stays with me. So it is going to happen. You need to create a total atmosphere where students feel comfortable. And this comes from, whether you have a policy or not, it comes from having the people who are responsible in the buildings for being alert to maintaining an atmosphere and looking for anything maybe just a wee bit out of line and making some effort to address it. And borrowing from down the line here, there have to be consequences. They have to be consistent. People have to know that there will be certain penalties if they behave in certain ways. That this is an environment within which people are expected to have a certain code, and this is what you're after. If you are aware of the consequences, it is surprising how much you begin to develop your own personal discipline. And this is not exactly the most best example, but I still also remember there was an assembly program in the Hamburg High School that showed us the consequences of CD, of venereal diseases. I have never, ever forgotten that. I have conditioned my whole life from what I saw happen on the screen. So that in a sense, if you can, maybe that's a shock treatment, maybe it has to be. Maybe you have to have an assembly program where you show students from a screen exactly all the consequences that happen, how people are affected otherwise, and they have to realize that these are the norms. This is how you're going to get ahead in the future, and you'll get ahead in adhering to those norms. But bullying is here. I've seen it at all levels, borrowed from down the line. In the university and so forth, it's there. And we have to be prepared to take some stand for it.
Gary?
Everybody's when the articulation's been said across the board with the candidates here, I echo the sentiments. But folks, we can all raise a hand, we've all been bullied, all right? I've been called certain names because of a stump. That happened about 15, 20 years ago. I get cat calls about that. So the bottom line is, we're never gonna take it away. The only reason why this is a major issue is because of Lady Gaga singing a song. Let's be real about this. Willie North is no different than Willie South, Hamburg, Eden, or the east side of Buffalo. The bottom line is, it's not gonna go away. And I can guarantee you this, no one's gonna press charges on these kids, if they even find these kids in Amherst, for the ones that actually were the perpetrators about the problem with the young boy that killed himself. The bottom line, again, it comes down to the parents. It's a parental control issue. The state does not mandate, the board does not mandate, the district does not mandate as far as what we're gonna do about a problem in the home, or when it comes to a situation where the kid is bullied. It's a parental problem. All they had to do was check the computer, pull the plug, and make sure it's not gonna be done again, and make sure the boy has been supervised, just like every parent should be doing with their kids, with their young daughters and children. And if it becomes an issue, then the teachers take care of it. When it comes to addressing that, there's a bully box, there's addressing, you can take care of it. And when you think about it, we already have a state mandate when it comes to harassment, tampering, verbal abuse, physical threats. We don't need any more laws, we've already got them. So why add more laws? We don't need any more boards or any more things that are gonna just make it more, just kind of a confluence of nothing more than just talk, issue by issue by issue, and causing more, just more constipation in the district. We don't need that. We've already got things in place. We just have to mandate it. If the teachers can't supervise this, then get rid of them. If they can't see this in the hallways, get rid of them. If they can't see this in the classrooms, They need to be subpoenaed, they need to be, also make sure that they're accountable to watch for this kind of stuff. That's their job, not just teaching, but also be on the precipice of watching and also making sure that the children, my son and everybody else's sons and daughters here, are having a safe area, nothing but a very good learning fertile ground to feel that they're safe from school bus home to school bus back to school, whatever their extracurricular activities. The bottom line is someone is gonna be watching it. It all starts with the parents. Computers are gonna be there. It's gonna get worse. Cell phones, computers, tweets, texts. The bottom line is parents have got to regulate this. That's not our job as a school district. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Bob?
Could you repeat the question again,
Oh, sure.
please? Make sure I answered the question.
No problem. With the recent publicity on bullying, what role should the school board play to address this problem?
I think the board has to have a strict policy about bullying in the district. It should include education starting in the elementary school. It has to be a policy that can be enforceable, and procedures in place to deal with those that are alleged to have bullied. But it has to be enforceable. Without that, our policy wouldn't be worth much. We'd have to include cyber and social networking bullying. With our technology today, access to those electronic media are easy, and all of our students are using it. There has to be an open discussion about it. It should be included, well, it might begin in the elementary school. It should be supported and nourished in the middle and high schools. We have a great character club at the high school. I could envision having the character club mentor or model the either middle school students or elementary students as part of their character club. We have to upgrade whatever policies we have on this. And it critically has to be enforceable. Thank you.
Dana?
So who would have thought last is the hardest? I'm not sure you can policy bullying out of anywhere. There's too many places where we're not, that kids are, that bullying can still happen. So I think that the best path and what the school board should try and push is teaching in the positive. Teach respect, specifically respect, and model respect, and how to show respect to each other, and how to show respect for adults and for your peers and for your siblings. Teach appreciation of being an individual. Find people's differences and show them how that is a strength to them and how to appreciate those differences. Don't make those differences be the standout things, make those the special things. And make that important to kids and talk about being different and how that makes you more valuable. And talk about and teach values and the understanding that the things that are different about you that somebody's gonna pull out are the things that really are gonna make you stand up and be successful. I talk strengths all the time, and the things that make you successful at your job is understanding yourself, what's unique about you, and what you're gonna be really good at. How valuable is that if we start talking about that at elementary school? And once we start to get to know each other, to get to value differerences, to get to appreciate ourselves, bullying really becomes second nature. I think bullying is a thing that makes you cool, that puts you in the spotlight, gives you attention. If we can make bullying not cool, if we can make that so that it's the embarrassing thing to do, then it becomes less and less and less of an issue. It doesn't completely go away. We need to give kids of all ages a path to resolution, whether it's a bullying box or a private email or some way to report issues, some way to be able to express what they're experiencing without having to do it in public to put themselves at risk of retaliation. There has to be a way to solve to give them a path to resolution. I was listening to the radio, there was a story about a school that took bullies and kids that were being bullied and sent them on a retreat with a lot of adult supervision and counseling. And the kids came back friends. There is very little to hate about kids. Let them get to know each other, find some common ground, they'll come back friends. Thank you.
Our final question, we asked by Matt, and we begin with Chuck.
In what ways would you promote the Hamburg Central School District in a positive light?
I believe the way I carry myself, the way I would be attentive at board meetings. I believe you can say whatever you want. You can try to represent yourself in a certain way, but your actions will really be how people will judge you. And that's why I've always done things. So I think people will judge me as somebody who works hard, that protects people that needs to be protected, and who cares about people, and I have a lot of compassion towards people. So I think people will see that, and people do see that, and I think that's how I'll project a positive image to community members through how I carry myself and my actions. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Oh, show interest and understanding to everyone in the community. Make them assured that you really care, that you're willing to listen, that you take the time to follow through, and that you're present when needed. Earlier in the statement here is that go to school activities so that people see that you're aware of what's happening, that you're totally immersed in the educational system and the system as it exists. Take the time to make people aware that they get to know that you are a board member and that you're approachable. Thank you.
Jerry?
There's a lot to play on when you talk about the assets of Hamburg as a school district. There's no question about it. I've seen it here the last, 10 years since I've been living here. The bottom line is, when you think about the arts, I'm very passionate about arts and music. And I hope some of you people feel the same way. But when you think about what you see in this community, and the kids that take involvement, especially the middle school kids, the Wesleyan Church, for instance, there's all kinds of arts, of artwork, from sculptures to music to drawings, lithographs, oil-based paintings, all that's there for the parents to see. And they're only, we're talking about 7th graders to, let's say, all the way through high school. I think it's 7th graders to 9th graders. That's a real treat to see when you think about it in the middle of the winter time. Music. I mean, who has not seen a play here that's been put on production with these people in the school district, from middle school, elementary, as well as high school? Some of the best productions I've ever seen. These people are passionate, the teachers, the volunteers that put it together, and that's amazing to me, because we're talking bar none when you're talking about music and arts. I think we're one of the top 5 or 6 in this county when it comes to the District 6. Sports, I mean, we don't have maybe the winningest football team, or let's say the greatest baseball team year to year, but they're always competitive. You got a brand new football field, you got lights on the field, you're getting people getting more involved, more excited about extracurricular activities when it comes to summer programs. That's something to hold and highlight. And I'm a part of that because I've been a coach for 20 years in this area. So I see that and I'm attuned to that. And community involvement. By God Almighty, I tell you what, I've seen volunteerism and I've been a part of it, from cultural programs with Muslims to the side cities. We talk about a city swap when it comes to activities, from picnics to music to activities when it comes to school programs. That's great, because you're talking about teachers and principals that really want to do that. It's like I said, it's not just an education inside the classroom. These kids need life lessons. And I really believe that the district here is attuned to that. And I'm, for one, going to make sure that I foster it, nurture it, soft-seed it, and continue to keep that going, because that's where it's at. These kids are going to have a life beyond Hamburg. And more than likely, they're going to live outside the area because they can't afford the taxes. But, the case may be, while they're here, we got to give them the most fertile knowledge, the fertile aspects of the actual lifelong lessons that they have while we're here. Long after they're gone, we're going to still take care of their college loans and the school taxes, but the bottom line is, they're there.
one last. I've listened to some great answers. Could you please repeat the question again, so make sure that,
In what ways would you promote the Hamburg Central School District in a positive light?
yeah, I would promote the district in many ways. We have a lot of great assets here. Music, art, sports. We have a lot of extracurricular activities. We have special education opportunities and clubs. I think the special parts about Hamburg, I would love to promote the Hills more, about the great resources that they've developed on their own to make a successful AP Calculus program. But we have so many other great art programs, great clubs in our schools. We have, while maybe not the most diverse culture in our of all the districts, we still get great participation with exchange students coming in that add an extra flavor to our district that we otherwise wouldn't maybe get without those exchange students. So it's great to have that as a positive. Our teachers are tremendous, and I would accentuate the positives with the resources we have from our teachers. So I think there's a lot of good things happening in our district, including the extracurricular activities and our academics. And I would too participate as much as I could in going to the concerts or going to the other activities that enrich our kids' lives. Thank you.
I think that the best way to promote Hamburg in a positive light is to let the results speak for themselves. I thought that when the Armour Elementary won that NFL $10,000, I thought that was so cool. It was all over my Facebook. I just thought that was such a great example of community, parents, teachers, students all coming together, and I was thrilled to be a part of that. I think me personally, as a board member, the best thing I could do is to be to listen to people. People who have concerns, people who are excited about things, and know that they have a place to come where they can be heard. It seems like it's often closed-doored, and I think the most important role that I would have in making putting Hamburg in a positive light is to just listen to people and know that their concerns are being heard and their joys are being heard. I think that the community comes together over and over and over again, and I think that any time that you can go out and talk about that, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook or in the newspaper, I think that just shines a great light on Hamburg. Thank you.
I truly believe, and I feel like I've been reiterating it over and over again, that it's our community that makes Hamburg special. And I think that if we could really put Hamburg Central, they're already on the map, but even more on the map by putting programs together between the communities, the small business owners, and the schools. Even when we were speaking about bullying, educating the bully, it's hard. They have our teachers who are trying to get test scores raised and follow a tough academic curriculum. To be able to add that into their school day, it's hard to do that, other than, you know, having the kids watch excellent behavior. If we incorporated some of the businesses in the area, I think they would be more than willing, I've even talked to a few of them, to have kids who perhaps were bullied or are being the bullies be able to go in and learn, or have part of their punishment or learning experience be linking them up with some community service. When we talked about cutting costs, I think the volunteerism in Hamburg is amazing, and that's another way that we are on the map. My son yesterday was had to be at school at 7. Our finance academy is, when he came home and said, I have to shake 5 people's hands, look them in the eye, and have something signed, We've been trying to get him to do that all summer. It was wonderful. That is something that is so phenomenal, that we are so blessed that our school has to offer. And linking that up with business owners, I think, is huge too. So I think just taking advantage of all the resources that we have and pooling the teachers who are amazing. Jenna Roney doing the yoga that she's done, and the teachers that are willing to stay after and help kids. I think that we already have an excellent basis, and having more community involvement for me would be what really makes us shine.
Okay, we're up to closing statements. If anything we missed, you want to let us know that you wasn't asking any questions, or you want to clarify something, closing statements are 2 minutes, and we begin with Harold.
Yeah, I had some of those students shake my hand yesterday, and it was very, very impressive. Our school is the most important community asset that we have. And we have to do everything possible to help it survive, help it move forward, help it be quality. I came out of my 4 years' experience on the budget committee with the investors group, feeling that we need a new budgeting model. We need one that will extend over a 3-year period as a minimum. I threw my name into the hat because my background in Washington was in strategic planning. It was my primary responsibility the last several years that I was with the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I co-authored the manual for strategic planning. An important ingredient in the component of strategic planning is to identify the performance measurements that you use to determine whether you're doing well and whether you're devoting your resources for the right purposes. I would like to take that interest and my background to the level of the board. Thank you.
Jerry?
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, I want to thank you again. I apologize for my appearance. I came from work. I have a baseball school, and I apologize. I'm definitely underdressed, but quite frankly, I think I can wear a tie better than Carol. It's a clip-on tie with one hand. Anyway, listen, I agree with what he just said. The foundation of our community is always going to be the schools and the students. We have to empower the teachers. We have to support them as best we can. We have to get behind the administrators within a certain extent without having major costs to the point where it's frivolous and just a nondescript when it comes to expenses. Remember, when you think about it, teachers and people that are working here for your children are civil service employees. They're off your tax dollars. I always say to myself, money is better in my pocket than the district's. When I say that, what I'm talking about is the fact is we propel economy because the more money we can spend. And the more money we can spend is the money we save when it comes to taxes every year. And every year the tax base keeps on going up and up and up when it comes to school budgets. And I understand that. I'm all for some of the projects, but the bottom line is there's some things we can definitely look at, fine tooth and comb, cut, eradicate, or minimize. And that's what I'd be willing to do. And as a board member, when I become the board member, that's the first thing I'm gonna attack, is we gotta look at it as a group. Where can we save money? Line by line. What is state mandated, what is not? And if it's not state mandated, then maybe we should take a hard look. Who wants to cut sports? Not me. I don't wanna cut music, I don't wanna cut arts, but the bottom line is this, it's a tough curriculum, and it's a tough period. We all know that money's not gonna get any better as the years go on, but we gotta look at it very hard and very strong.
Bob?
Greg, could you share my resume with everyone?
Yes, I did.
So everyone has that? Is this the only part of the board that's gonna be making the evaluation?
Well,
We have one missing
more
person,
that was here.
who will get a copy of the resume.
Okay. I've learned a great deal over the last 4 years being involved in the Budget Ambassadors Group. And I've really enjoyed participating in my kids' education and getting to know the elementary, middle, and high schools that my kids attend now. We have so many great resources with our teachers and the programs, a great music program, a great art program. We have great athletic programs. We have a new hockey team. It's a very exciting time in Hamburg. Our academics are doing well in terms of being measured against other school districts, so we seem to be doing a lot of things right. The challenges we have ahead of us are to desperately keep all those programs, keep all our teachers, and manage the costs going forward. So being involved in this budget ambassador group has really opened my eyes to those challenges, and I think I could be of a great resource to the board in helping them navigate that environment. The school district is the foundation of our community. So the attractiveness of moving into our town is a direct correlation with how good are the schools. That's the first question that realtors get asked. So we have to find a way to keep that. The board has a rotating seat assignment that happens every 3 years. And the reason for that is to get fresh ideas. So allow me the opportunity to be a participant in that. Thank you.
Amy?
So first of all, thank you. I've been with my company for 12 years. It's been a while since I've done an interview. This is a different style, but this has been really interesting and really good experience. I love to build relationships. I build teams that use their strengths. I like to talk to people. I like to listen to people. I think that for every problem, you need to ask what, get all the data, ask so what, now what does this mean in the big picture of things, and then ask now what, how are we going to solve it, and how does that solution play out in the long run. I think you guys have a hard and important job that we don't do for the money, and I think that we are here because we love it. We are here because the kids are the most important thing that we have going in this community, and I would love to be a part of that. Thank you.
Laura?
I am also very grateful, and think I might even have you beat, because I think it's been 18 years since I have sat on an interview. And I'm kicking myself because Dr. Roswell called and asked me when they started that ambassador group years ago, and I said, I have 6 kids under 10. There is no way I can do that. And now that would have been come in handy. I understand that there is huge action that needs to take place in order to get our school district to be able to operate in the black. I think that looking at redistricting, maybe even looking at healthcare costs, are things that we may need to do in order to avoid cutting teachers. What I feel I bring to the table is a passion for kids, which I think we all have, or we wouldn't be here. A wide variety of ages of my children, so I come across a lot of different people in the community. I'm able to be, I'm at a time in my life now where I can be in the schools and be a link and a board face that you could possibly see every day. And I'm so excited for Hamburg, and I'm so happy that my kids are being raised here. And I know there are hard decisions that need to be made, but I think everybody here has something unique to bring to the table. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you.
Chuck?
I want to thank you for this opportunity once again to interview tonight. As I said before, Hamburg is a great district and ranked 12th by Business First amongst West New York school districts. So we should be very proud of that. The district should be very proud of that. My reasons for wanting to be on the board, as I alluded to earlier, are one, I feel like I can be a really good asset to the board and to the community. One of my big goals, like I said, is to protect any student, any teacher, any aide, any program that I can, whether it be music or it be sports, any of the arts, after-school activities, do what I can to help to protect any person or program in any way that I can. My 15 years of teaching experience, I feel, will be an asset because I have my pulse, I have my finger on the pulse of students, what they're thinking, what teachers think, what problems they face, what problems administrators face. So I'm in touch and in tune with what's going on in schools. I'm in a school every single day, and I have been for 15 years. As I mentioned, I've played sports my whole life, so I'm a team guy. So I like to be part of a team. I would like to be part of this Board of Education and work together to take this district further forward. And I feel that whoever you choose, they should be well-rounded. Finance is one important part, but if you have just finance, if you don't have the rest of it, I think that would be a misplaced member. I think that from my perspective, I would be a good candidate because I'm well-rounded and I'm willing to work and to do the best for the students and the best for the community. Thank you.
Well, I certainly appreciate it. Perhaps speaking for the rest of us, I appreciate you guys coming. It's been a wonderful learning experience to listen to you. I mean, I'm inspired. I'm thinking about all the better things I should be doing as a board member and how much, all the things we can think about and focus on, and I think we really appreciate it. And we appreciate the fact that you've been willing to toss your hat in, and we only wish that we could take on another 13 board members. That would be great, but I don't think we can do it that way. So on that note, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Motion to adjourn. A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, folks, very, very much.
Thank you.